city clerk. I think he's on the attendee list. Maybe he's having trouble getting in. He's on the attendee list, or someone with that name is on there.
So maybe we just need to convert him to a panelist.
I just moved him over.
Okay, perfect.
That was after what he said to Commissioner Lanier this morning. He's getting his just desserts.
I'm thinking the same thing.
Well, we are glad to have you join us, Commissioner. All right, with that, since we're all here, we'll go ahead and call our evening City Commission meeting to order. If you are joining us for the first time, I'm going to ask you to join us for a moment of silence before we do the Pledge of Allegiance and then roll call. I'll remind everyone who's joining us, if you could put your microphone on mute while other people are talking, that's helpful to reduce the background noise. So with that, if you join me for a moment of silence and then Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Next, we'll have roll call.
Commissioner O'Connor.
Present.
Commissioner Jones. Here. Commissioner Ruppert.
Here.
Commissioner Moody.
Present.
Commissioner Lanier.
Present.
Commissioner Isazi.
Here.
Mayor Bliss.
Yes. All right, so in a moment, I'm going to introduce Ms. Lily Beth Perez, who is going to be available tonight for anyone who needs translation services. But before we get to that, if you're new to joining our City Commission meetings, let me just walk you through a couple rules that we have here, as well as our agenda. So we have tonight 4 opportunities for public comment. The very first one on the agenda is if you are calling to give comment on something that we are actually voting on today. So earlier today, we had a number of meetings and we took votes. So if you're calling on one of those items, the opportunity for public comment would be in the beginning. We have 2 scheduled public hearings. So if you want to speak to the obsolete property rehabilitation district for 1713 Madison, I'm going to ask you to hold off and wait till we get to that. And then we also have a public hearing on a proposed ordinance related to clean indoor air ordinance. And if you want to speak on that, I'm going to have you hold off as well. And then if you have comments on any other issues, that's at the end of the meeting. So how you call in for public comment is you can call 311 or 456-3000. For the first opportunity for public comment, you would hit the number 1 and then 1. If you're calling about the Oprah at 1713 Madison, you would hit 1 and then 2. If you're calling about the indoor air ordinance, you would hit 1 and then 3. And then the final opportunity for public comment, you would hit 1 and then 5. Every public comment period, we ask that you share your name, the city that you live in, and we'll give you up to 3 minutes to speak. For the very first one, we ask you to also indicate exactly what item you're speaking about. So with that, I'll turn it to Ms. Lily Beth Perez to introduce herself, and then we'll open up the first opportunity for public comment.
Thank you, Mayor Bliss. Good evening. If you need interpretation services to address the City Commission, I will be able to assist. Please dial 456-3000 or 311 and choose the option you wish to speak on tonight. Buenas noches. Si necesita servicios de interpretación para dirigirse a la Comisión de la Ciudad, estaré disponible para ayudarle. Marque el 456-3000 o el 311 y elija la opción en la que desea comentar esta noche. Gracias.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. All right, so we'll open up the first opportunity for public comment. And again, this is public comment specific to agenda items that are before us tonight. So I'll turn to Daniel to see if we have anyone in the queue.
Here comes the first caller. Caller, you're on with the City Commission. Please state your name, the city in which you live, and the item you wish to address. You have 3 minutes. Your time starts now.
Good evening. Watchdog Miller reporting. Happy Columbus Week, one and all. Let's look at the record on the drug dealer doll name change. She had 2 drug dealer boyfriends in a row, and a massive investigation was first released on Wednesday by Mayor Fisher down in Louisville. Why not comb through that first to see the bearers of this shocking move. I come across accounts that the Louisville cops yelled police first, and Taylor then moved right next to her gun-firing boyfriend. Why not honor Manley, First Officer Manley, who was seriously wounded in the femur in that encounter? So Glover had been convicted of drug trafficking in Mississippi, and police noted that he had picked up a package at Taylor's apartment. Taylor also handled all of Glover's money, the convicted drug dealer. So please comb through these piles, through these investigative piles in Louisville, which just now released. And thank you ever so much. Watch Miller reporting.
There are no more callers in the queue, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Daniel. We'll close that opportunity for public comment, and we'll move on to approval of the minutes. And these are the minutes from our last meeting on September 29th. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. Commissioners, any questions or comments from our last meeting? All right, seeing none, I'll ask the city clerk.
Commissioner Jones? Yes. Commissioner O'Connor?
Yes.
Commissioner Moody?
Yes.
Commissioner Isasi?
Yes.
Commissioner Repart?
Yes.
Commissioner Lanier?
Aye.
Mayor Bliss?
Yes, it carries. All right, next that will take us to petitions and communications.
The first one is we had received 27 communications received regarding defunding the Grand Rapids Police Department.
That is received and filed.
We had communications, 10 of them received expressing opposition to renaming Monroe Center to Breonna Taylor Way.
That's received and filed.
Communication received from Amy Brower, Executive Director of Roosevelt Park Neighborhood Association, expressing support for the Clean Air Ordinance.
That is received and filed.
And communications received from the West Michigan Cannabis Guild expressing concerns regarding the Clean Air Ordinance.
And that is also received and filed. All right, next that will take us to reports of city officers.
Comptroller's report for the period of September 17, 2020 through September 30, 2020 in the amount of $28,459,352.22.
That is received and filed.
And the Treasurer's report for the period of September 12, 2020 through September 25, 2020.
And that is also received and filed. All right, next that will take us to our consent agenda. Our consent agenda are items that we voted on earlier today in one of our standing committee meetings where the vote was unanimous. So tonight, with one voice vote, we will adopt those items. Can I get a motion for the consent agenda?
So moved.
So moved.
All right, moved and supported. Commissioners, any questions or comments? All right, City Clerk, will you call the vote?
Commissioner O'Connor,
Yes.
Commissioner Moody,
Yes.
Commissioner Isasi,
Yes.
Commissioner Repart,
Yes.
Commissioner Lanier,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Mayor Bliss.
Yes, it carries. All right, Commissioners, that will take us to items removed from consent. And we do have one item that has been removed from consent because of a correction in the resolution. So this is a resolution accepting a grant agreement for $12,000 from the National League of Cities for connecting children to nature. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
So moved. Support.
All right, moved and supported. Commissioner Moody, you want to tell us about this?
Yes, ma'am, Madam Mayor. This resolution is exactly what you just said, a grant to approve natural cities to support connecting children to nature. This grant also assists in the support of the Grand Rapids vision that all Grand Rapids youth have the equitable access to natural places, and especially a place where they can grow healthy and live healthy and have fun. This also is a grant that builds capacity for a place-based strategy, which undeserved neighborhoods in the southwest and southeast side of Grand Rapids should have a deeper current work ability to build capacity for the youth to understand nature and to get engaged in nature.
Before we call the vote, I'll just say how much I appreciate all of the support from the National League of Cities. This initiative to connect children to nature is a partnership between the city and the Grand Rapids Public Schools. And we've worked really closely with them to make sure that people have space that they can access. So any questions? All right, City Clerk, you want to call the vote?
Commissioner Moody,
Yes.
Commissioner Isasi,
Yes.
Commissioner Repart,
Yes.
Commissioner Lanier,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Connor,
Yes.
Mayor Bliss.
Yes, it carries. All right, that will take us to our ordinances to be adopted tonight. We have 3 ordinances before us, and we'll start with the first one.
The first one is an ordinance to amend section 4.3 of ordinance 2019-55, update to title for industrial pretreatment program inspector and industrial pretreatment program officer.
All right, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. Commissioner Isasi, you want to tell us about this?
Yes, Mayor, this is just a change to align this title with industry standards for the industrial pretreatment program, and there are no changes to the pay ranges.
Any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, I'll turn to the city clerk to do a roll call vote.
Commissioner Isasi,
Yes.
Commissioner Repart,
Yes.
Commissioner Lanier,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Connor,
Yes.
Commissioner Moody,
Yes.
Mayor Bliss.
Yes, it carries. The next ordinance, I'll turn to our city clerk to read that.
Next one is a ordinance amending section 1 of the budget ordinance 2020-15 for fiscal year 2021, amendment number 7.
So moved.
Support.
All right, Commissioner O'Connor from our fiscal committee, you want to tell us about this?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just 3 items tonight. The first one is accepting 2 grant awards for our community's children. One of the items which we already talked about, and then an additional grant for a total of $202,000. Second item is a reappropriation from our general fund balance for the business retention incentive program as related to the Third Ward Equity Fund. And our final is acknowledging a grant to the clerk's department to help with our safe voting plan. No use of contingent balance.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioners, any questions or comments about this item? All right, seeing none, we'll turn to the clerk to vote.
Commissioner Repart,
Yes.
Commissioner Lanier, Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Connor,
Yes.
Commissioner Moody,
Yes.
Commissioner Isasi,
Yes.
Mayor Bliss.
Yes, it carries. And Commissioners, can I get a motion to give this immediate effect?
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. City Clerk, you want to call the vote?
Commissioner Lanier,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Connor,
Yes.
Commissioner Moody,
Yes.
Commissioner Isasi,
Yes.
Commissioner Repart,
Yes.
Mayor Bliss.
Yes, thank you. All right, that will take us to our third ordinance to be adopted tonight.
Consideration of an ordinance changing the neighborhood classification from MCN, mid-20th century neighborhood, to MON, modern era neighborhood, of property generally bounded on the west by the Country Club Green condominiums, on the north by the northern boundary of the Highlands Land Conservancy, formerly the Highlands Golf Club, on the east by Oakley Road, and on the south by Leonard Street.
All right, can I get a motion?
So moved.
All right, moved and supported. I see Ms. Turkelson has joined us to tell us about this item.
Good evening, Commission. Thank you for your time. This is a rezoning of a neighborhood classification, as the city clerk had mentioned. I presented at the last meeting in further detail, and certainly happy to answer any questions. But as a brief overview, this concept of the neighborhood classification change did come out of working with individual property owners of some remaining vacant lots that are within this neighborhood. that is generally bounded on the northeast city limits. Upon analysis, it was determined that there was a significant mix of development types, both from the mid-century and the modern era neighborhood. And so it was felt that this neighborhood designation would help further the desired pattern of development with the individuals that still have the vacant lots remaining. Planning Commission did hold a public hearing, and there was no testimony that was offered. And although we do have a master planning process, we felt that this particular change was not as significant or impactful as other changes that we might see, and that this was just a really incremental change to the pattern of development and was certainly appropriate for this time. And with that, if you have any questions, I'm available to answer.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Colson. Commissioners, any questions or comments? I think we're all familiar with this. All right. City Clerk, you want to call the vote?
Yep. Commissioner Lanier? Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Connor?
Yes.
Commissioner Moody?
Yes.
Commissioner Isasi?
Yes.
Commissioner Repart?
Yes.
Mayor Bliss?
Aye.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. We saw your mouth move, so so it carries. Thank you, everyone. All right, Commissioners, that will take us to our 2 scheduled public hearings tonight. And as I indicated, we have 2 of them before us. The first one is a public hearing to consider the establishment of an obsolete property rehabilitation district at 1713 Madison Avenue Southeast. The purpose of this hearing is to consider this establishment, and notice of this hearing has been made pursuant to state law. So with that, I'm going to open it up first with Mr. Gracia to give us a little bit of background, and then it looks like Ms. Grant has joined us as well. And then I'll turn to you to see if you have any questions, and then we'll open it up for public comment. So Mr. Gracia, you want to tell us about this?
Yes, good evening, Commissioners. This public hearing is to consider the establishment of an obsolete property rehabilitation district for 1713 Madison Avenue. So the current owner is developing plans to renovate the building for a first floor retail and residential use on the second floor. Total building square footage is 2,272 square feet, and the property is located in the Southtown CIA. The project does support the priorities of the Southtown Business Area Specific Plan and in the Madison Square Business District, and will improve the retail corridor environment through the reuse of underutilized space and deter economic decline based on the building having sustained a substantial fire. The project was also rewarded a $45,000 grant through the Third Ward Business Retention Incentive Program, which you heard about earlier this morning and this evening. And it also should be noted that this application is establishing the district only. And as the usual process, the project will come back when a formal application is ready for review by the City Commission, as we do with any other OPRA application. So happy to answer any questions you have about the project.
All right, thank you. Ms. Grant, did you want to add anything?
Good evening, everyone. No, I think that Mr. Gracia covered the basics. We're really excited about this project. And what I will say is, as someone who is aspiring to be a developer and really excited about doing work in this neighborhood, in my community, establishing this district allows us to move forward with the work while also making sure that we are, paying the taxes on the property and adding to the value of the community, but doing it in a way that makes it feasible for us as new and smaller developers.
Great, thank you. It's good to have you with us. Commissioners, any questions before we open it up for public comment? All right, I'll turn to you. Yep, go ahead, Commissioner.
Yeah, I'll just quickly say thank you, Ms. Grant, for being here, and thank you for your work on this project and some of the others. Mr. Gracia, thank you for updating the memo to include those elements that we talked about the last time we were together. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Sure, thank you for calling it to our attention.
All right, thank you. All right, I'll turn to Daniel to see if we have anyone in the queue who would like to be heard.
Here comes the first caller.
Thank you.
Caller, you're on with the City Commission. Please state your name and the city in which you live. You have 3 minutes. Your time starts now.
Watchdog Miller, Grand Rapids. The Rapid is only targeting 3 routes. The Route 3 Madison plus the 13 and 14. The 3 Madison, I've been riding that on my own since across town since 1946. And previously, the other vicious thing that the Rapid did in the immediate neighborhood is to cancel the Oakdale Madison Fuller line out south at 19. That was the last black local route that came all the way downtown, marching north and south on the road. There I speak to the road name Monroe. But that was a vicious move, and the replacement on behalf of the spectrum has been chaotic. It caused all sorts of previous bus stops up there on Michigan. So please consider this. If you're going to support an investment there on Madison, then you should keep Route 3 Madison, which goes back as a Lafayette Slack and Madison 3 centuries now. And kind of look at what has happened on the 19, that scandal, a couple years ago, which 3 city commissions tried to say was rescinded. Many thanks. Watchdog Miller reporting.
Thank you, Watchdog. There are no more callers, Mayor.
All right, Daniel. I will go ahead and close that public comment period then and refer this back to Committee of the Whole. All right, Commissioners, next that will take us to our second public hearing tonight. This is a public hearing on proposed ordinance to amend Chapter 71 of Title 6 of the Code of the City of Grand Rapids, currently titled Clean Indoor Air Ordinance. Clean Indoor Air Ordinance. So to start us off tonight, we have our Parks Director, Mr. Mark Watt. I'll give him a chance to say a few words. I'll see if you have any questions, and then we'll open it up for public comment.
Thank you, Mayor. And I believe we've got some slides that will be coming up here. Great. So good evening to all of you, Mayor, Commissioner, City Manager, David Markwart, Director of Grand Rapids Parks and Recreation. This item was introduced to all of you back in September, and we are grateful to be back with you again this evening for an opportunity for a public hearing on this topic. This ordinance amendment and the importance of the amendment is being elevated in partnership with the Kent County Health Department, the Urban League of Grand Rapids, multiple neighborhood associations across the city, as well as the Friends of Grand Rapids Parks organization. The amendments proposed affect the existing Clean Indoor Air Ordinance, that is a mouthful, and the emphasis and specific amendments include the following as seen on this slide. Prohibiting smoking in all parks and playgrounds, prohibiting all tobacco, electronic smoking devices, and marijuana products in public places, prohibiting disposal of tobacco waste in public places, prohibiting intimidation against another person seeking to attain compliance, and finally, requiring clear signage to be posted in all of our park spaces. If adopted, education and awareness would continue through the end of this calendar year, with the ordinance taking effect on January 1st of 2021. The proposed ordinance amendments are being offered from a place of community health and wellness and from 28 successful piloted sites over the last few years. From these piloted sites, 85% of residents approve of this proposal or hold no opinion of tobacco-free parks. It's important to note, too, that Grand Rapids would not be alone if adopted. There are currently over 58 jurisdictions in the state of Michigan with tobacco-free policies. Health professionals through Michigan's Health Department and from the University of Michigan have supported Grand Rapids' proposal by sharing commonly used language and definitions that are found in these amendments. It's important to know that this is our starting point, and for the purpose of this public hearing, that is where we begin. If something doesn't feel right, we want to hear about it. And if something needs adjusting, this is our chance to know what that is and make the proper adjustments. So on behalf of the many dedicated and passionate partner organizations and neighborhood associations that have brought us to this point, thank you. And thank you for learning about this proposal and sharing your thoughts tonight.
All right, thank you so much. Commissioners, I know we've already talked about this when we scheduled the public hearing, but before we open it up for public comment, any questions or comments? Commissioner Lanier and then Moody.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Marquette. Nice romantic background you have there going. Just quickly, are we planning to do an awareness campaign in the spring so that if this doesn't come into effect until the January 2021, the usage of the parks are a little bit more limited in during the winter months? Are we looking at having an awareness campaign to try and help people to understand the law change?
Yes, I appreciate that question. And I am at my office, by the way, just have the lights down, got to change the setting a bit.
Yeah, I'm not mad. It's nice. Go ahead.
Yeah. But yes, the goal is to make education first and foremost. We would indeed, in fact, extend that education campaign into the spring of the year. You're exactly right, to ensure that we're capturing a higher number of park users in this climate.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Moody?
Yeah, I just want to know, possible, Dave, if you can explain in more detail the 85%, your 85% says either approve or no approve. Can you break that down for me?
Yes, that feedback, Commissioner Moody, comes from those 28 locations at which this ordinance and the proposed amendments were piloted. There were 28 parks across the city that included many within the south, southeast, southwest side of the city as well. Buchanan, Burton, Campus, Caulfield, Cesar Chavez, and a number of across in both wards 1 and 2 as well. And so that is where those statistics come from in those piloted locations for this ordinance.
Yeah, I just want some clarity. Are they approving? Is this their approval for smoke-free parks or not?
Yeah, this was their approval of the smoke-free park locations, correct.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, commissioners. All right, if there are no other questions or comments, I'm going to turn to Daniel to see if we have anyone in the queue to be heard on this item.
Here comes the first caller. Caller, you're on with the City Commission. Please state your name and the city in which you live. You have 3 minutes. Your time starts now.
Thank you. My name is Cassie Kobler. I'm a resident of the 3rd Ward of Grand Rapids. I was just calling to share my support for the Clean Air and Public Places Ordinance. Really appreciate the language around the education being the first and foremost primary goal of implementing the ordinance. So really being able to have that educational campaign, I think is going to be really, really fascinating and helpful to ensure that we're really educating community and ensuring that we're not trying to be punitive, it sounds like. So really wanted to share my support for that. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Caller, you're on with the City Commission. Please state your name and the city in which you live. You have 3 minutes. Your time starts now.
Hi, my name is Sharon Stapleton Briggs, and I am a resident of Grand Rapids.
Go ahead with your statement, caller.
The time has come for tobacco-free park. Looking over the data and the targeting of the Rapids, it's clear that our residents overwhelmingly approve the tobacco-free parks. There's been many organizations, people, education, throughout several years actually who have worked on this proposal, and it's really good to see that now it's a possibility for an ordinance. So I really urge the commissioners to approve this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. Caller, you're on with the City Commission. You have 3 minutes. Please state your name and the city in which you live. Your time starts now.
Grand Rapids calling, wants to Millerback. This, first of all, no sissy fines. Okay, let's make it $200 on the first fine. Also, please include both these enclosed incubators, super spreader incubators, your new buses, which run in Grand Rapids, 6,000 series, big blue buses, all the 1100s, and many 7500 dash buses. These are just rolling COVID incubators, super spreaders. They should be sent back to the factory if you keep them, and windows should be open. Windows should be installed, all of them as we had on the previous 1000s and 250s, traditional rapid buses. Next, every bus stop in the city and shelter should be made non-smoking with its own pole, and I would recommend 20 feet, so at least get downwind from a smoker. Please ban smoking for 20 feet. You probably have close to 1,000 rapid bus stops left, plus maybe 24 dash stops. So please extend non-smoking to each and every rapid bus stop that is left. Varga claimed that he banned smoking. He has signs up on a bus, but I have not seen it enforced. And some drivers, they'll actually build a line like 12 or 14, so they can sneak smokes in shelter areas. Thank you ever so much. So I'm saying send the 6,000s and 1100s back to the factory so we can get some open windows in there, and please ban smoking at each and every dash and rapid bus stop inside the city. Mark Miller reporting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. There are no more callers, Mayor.
Thank you, Daniel. We'll go ahead and close that public hearing, and we'll go to our last opportunity for public comment tonight. And this is public comment for any other items that you wish to speak to. So again, you can call 311 or 456-3000, hit number 1 and then number 5. Daniel, do we have anyone in the queue?
Here comes the first caller. Caller, you're on with the City Commission. Please state your name and the city in which you live. You have 3 minutes. Your time starts now.
My name is Libby Stern, and I live in Rockford, Michigan.
Go ahead with your statement, caller.
I would like to say that I strongly support the ordinance. I've worked with Tobacco Free Network, and I'm a tobacco treatment specialist at Spectrum Health, so I've worked in the city of Grand Rapids for many years, and it's a wonderful benefit for everyone who is frequenting the park. It is going to reduce tobacco litter and make it safer for children and for pets, and I just can't support it more. It's an excellent idea. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Caller, you're on with the City Commission. Please state your name and the city in which you live. You have 3 minutes. Your time starts now.
Hi, my name is Maggie Smith. I live in the 3rd Ward of the city of Grand Rapids. I'm calling to talk about defunding the police, and I specifically wanted to highlight I was potentially one of the few people who was able to listen to the entirety of the Committee of the Whole meeting last week on Tuesday that featured, among other things, the Grand Rapids Police Department strategic plan. And I want to talk about my disappointment in a variety of the commissioners' responses. It took until we got to the last 2 commissioners to be reminded that there has been a continual outcry from your city members. I think in the number of multiple thousands of pieces of communication to you as our representatives about defunding the police. And I did not hear any of that in the responses of the commissioners until we got to Commissioner Lanier and Commissioner Asazi. That was incredibly disappointing. And then in addition, I wanted to also highlight the conversation that, if anyone else is listening to this meeting, would be really beneficial for anyone in the public to go back to listen to. It was a conversation between City Manager Washington, Commissioner Jones, the exalted private contractor, I think his last name is Patterson, and then the Chief Payne discussing the cause of the acceleration of violence that we're all experiencing in our city. And the agreed upon consensus was that this is caused by social oppressive impacts that have been exacerbated by the pandemic and already existing oppression getting worse. And with that agreement, there was then no action on that. What I saw from the strategic plan is that so little of what the strategic plan from the GRPD addresses what we all agree. All of our leadership and our studies are agreeing these are the causes of violence, and yet we're not addressing them. And that was incredibly disappointing to see that kind of in almost a hypocrisy or obtuseness about these are the causes, let's not address them. Let's throw more money at the violence that's not working. And then in addition, as I'm running out of time, I also understand that there was a $500,000 grant approved today or through the city or with the Kent County Board of Commissioners toward gunshot detection technology, which again is not what is causing this violence. So just a reminder to commissioners to do your job, focus on defunding the police. Thank you.
Caller, you're on with the City Commission. Please state your name and the city in which you live. You have 3 minutes. Your time starts now.
Hi, my name is Dee Shante, and I am the president of Family Over Everything here locally in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I just wanted to call in today in favor of the honorary road change to Breonna Taylor Way. I think that it's very important for us as a city and as a community to get involved in this way so that we can show from here in a place where Breonna Taylor was born and raised that we hear, we see the pain and we feel the pain of the family and that we stand with them. This is the least thing that we can do. To the caller that called in earlier, I would urge that person to do a little bit more research. Breonna Taylor was no criminal. Breonna Taylor was no criminal. I ask you all to hear my voice right now as I tremble speaking to this commission. Breonna Taylor is no criminal. I thank you all so very much for your time. I hope this thing that we call life can be more equal and more just for us all. That is all the time, and I thank you so much. Commissioner Lanier, you are the best.
Thank you, caller. There are no more callers in the queue, Mayor.
Thank you, Daniel. I will now turn to my colleagues for any final comments as we wrap up tonight. How about I start with Commissioner Moody?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to just take a moment and as we were doing our memorial earlier today, to remember Mr. Johnny Townsend. Johnny Townsend was one of the gentlemen who, since I've been on the board, I'm quite sure Commissioner Lanier and Commissioner Jones may know, Mr. Townsend passed away last week. And he was an avid community advocate that came to our city commission meetings with the Link Up group and always spoke up on his with his concerns. So just wanted to throw his name out there that we keep his family in our prayers. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. You know, Commissioner Moody, I was not aware of that. I will definitely keep him and his family in our prayers. Thanks for sharing. Let's see, Commissioner Jones?
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to give thanks to all who called in on this this evening for the various opportunities, both beginning as well as the public hearings and the last public comment. So thank you to all of those who called in, and thank you again for the support that was shown for the decision to commemorate Breonna Taylor by providing that opportunity to recognize Monroe Center as Breonna Taylor Way. So thank you. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner O'Connor? Commissioner Repper?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Just have a great night, everyone. My shout out tonight is to the legal department, because in the last couple of weeks they've had to do a lot of work to analyze and look at the Supreme Court decision and all the things that are swirling at the state level. And so grateful to have a good legal team that can give us wise counsel for how to move forward in the midst of a very troubling time. So thanks to all the staff. We got a big week coming up in 2 weeks as a group, and I'm looking forward to those conversations. It's going to be good to have those conversations together as a group.
Yeah, thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Sassi?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to say, echo thanks that Commissioner Repard did to staff. Totally agree with the legal department. I'll also add my grateful thanks to our fiscal department for all their work. We talked about a lot of different things in front of us and that we'll have in front of us when we meet on the 30th. I also wanted just to recognize, I think we had a lot of posts from yesterday recognizing Indigenous Peoples Day and the proclamation that that you signed last time we met, Mayor, and received a lot of positive comments about recognizing the land that the city was built on and the beautiful river and other aspects that we respect and recognize that we are standing on. I also just want to say, we're wrapping up Hispanic Heritage Month, and I think it's just a good time to reflect. Unfortunately, today, a very good friend of mine told me about an instance of hate that they experienced. It was ugly, and quite honestly, don't have the words to tell her what I feel about what she's experienced as a Black woman in this state and in this country. And then we saw that, today, some of us got that in emails as we were preparing for the commemorative designation of Breonna Taylor Way. And, I just want to remind people there is, no room for hate in this community. We'll continue to fight against that. And, I'm glad to hear of the efforts that we're making towards Election Day. I think we can never be too prepared. We are living in these unprecedented times. And I just want to say, thank you to all that presented as we prepare for not only our session on the 30th, but a very important day of Election Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Lanier?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to city staff and for all of their work in the preparation of our agenda for today. I'd like to also thank the public who came out to speak this evening on a variety of topics. And I echo the sentiments of my colleagues regarding the designation of Breonna Taylor Way. I'm eager to, as I said this morning, walk down that street and see her name, which I think will have what we may not be able to see today, a huge historical impact, not only in our community, but I believe across this nation, as many cities are evaluating their no-knock warrant policies. And to her family for allowing us the opportunity to be able to honor her in this small way, as her life has been sacrificed through such tragic events. I'd also like to quickly just say regarding Mr. Townsend, thank you so much, Pastor Commissioner, for sharing that again. And Mayor, my apologies. When I heard about it, I actually thought about reaching out to you to share the news with you, and my day got away from me, and then the weekend too. So I'm sorry that I hadn't reached out to share that with you, but I think, it speaks to this work being beyond just the policies that we are writing and agreeing to, beyond even some of the disagreements that we may have, but this really is about community. And I think with the loss of Mr. Townsend, that's just a missing part of a community that we've built here on our Tuesday evenings twice a month. So he will be missed, and definitely my family will be in prayer for his. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. And no apologies needed. But I have a special place in my heart for him, and he was a really special man. So, let's turn to our appointed officials tonight. Let's start with our city attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to also express my condolences to the Townsend family. And thank you for the appreciation for what we do. It really is awesome to work in an organization where there's so many people that are committed to the work that we do, that do hard work and do that which is best, not just for the organization, but our community day after day. And so thank you and have a good night.
Thank you, City Attorney. And I know I speak for all of us that we appreciate all of your work, especially the extra work that all of you have been doing through this pandemic. Let's see, let's go to our city clerk. Anything additional to add? You want to talk about the election?
Yes, let me just briefly do a little recap from this morning for those who didn't watch this morning. We've mailed out over 53,000 absentee ballots. We have about 25,000 that have been returned. If you have an absentee ballot, there's no penalty for turning it in early. So if you've done your research and you're ready to get your ballot in, please get them in earlier. Drop boxes have been safe and secure. Our staff has been picking them up multiple times. We've been getting information out there to the community through, I think I've been on every local channel over the last couple of days and local radio and others, trying to cut through the noise of Facebook, trying to get out the correct information, what there is. And you may have seen some of our ads on Facebook and Instagram. So we have some ads running that are giving out facts and information of what's going on. And please research the proposals, the 2 state proposals and the 2 city proposals. Those are important. They're on the backside of the ballot. So, everybody gets excited to vote for president and U.S. Senate and the like, but make sure you go all the way through and do your research. Those statewide proposals have lasting impacts on a lot of things. And I think people kind of get lost on those. So make sure that you do your research. I always like to say, go to michigan.gov/vote. No, before you go, you can see your sample ballot. You can see if we received your absentee ballot back. There's a whole bunch of information on where your precinct is. So make sure you do that. And we're preparing. We did have to change some precincts. All those precincts, those people got notices, and we'll put notices on the doors of the buildings of where we did changes. So we're getting those notices out, and we've also had all 4 proposals translated into Spanish. So those posters will be at the precincts as well. And we'll also make sure we have additional copies of them out there as well. Commissioner Sassi asked for that, but we learned that in 2018 that was necessary. And big heart thank you to everybody who wants to help with elections working. Everybody's been amazing. This is the best problem they have. We're building a standby list. So everybody be patient with Daniel. He's your voice that you hear for the phone calls, but that's his job, is to assign workers and get that all done. We've had an outpouring of people that want to help, and thank you. We're building a standby list now. So as things progress for the 3 weeks, we may be calling people up to help. That's a great problem to have. So there are blessings coming out of this. And speaking of community, it was great to be out at New Hope Missionary Baptist Church. Those kind of activities are just a fun way of. Elections are serious business, but we can have fun with it too. And we had good music, and it was just a good festive thing. I had a great conversation with Young and Righteous Radio. If you go to their Facebook, you can watch my interview with them. So we had a good conversation, especially about those proposals as well. They were kind of floored that those proposals were there. So thank you to everybody, and thank you to the entire city staff. It's not just the clerk's office doing elections, folks. It is a full team effort from several departments and city staff, and we do it better together. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, City Clerk. I add my thanks to you and everyone working so hard to make sure that we have a safe and secure election. And I just posted on my page today where you can go to do exactly what you said. I was able to look up my absentee ballot and see the date that I received it and the date it was returned, and you got it here at City Hall. So if you have submitted an absentee ballot and you just want to double check to make sure we got it, you can easily do that online, and I encourage you to do that. So with that, I'll turn to our city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. I too would like to echo my appreciation and extend my gratitude to the staff who continues to exceed my expectations in preparation for these important conversations with you. And thank you all for your work. And specifically, I do want to thank my colleagues who are fellow appointees for their work, both in partnership in the clerk office and the law department office, but also acknowledge the other staff that supports many of the legislative efforts. Our legislative affairs office, Ms. Farrick, a tiny office of one person, but does a great job along with the entire policy team and emergency management group that's been watching many of the changes throughout the pandemic. So my appreciation to them as well, and I hope all of you have a great night.
Thank you, City Manager. And I will just end by also adding my appreciation. I also want to give a shout out to Ms. Stacy Stout and everyone who joined us in celebrating Indigenous Peoples Day yesterday. And then I also think that we should take this moment to really celebrate some successes at the state level as well. So many of us have been actively working on supporting bills around expungement and corrections reform. And many of us celebrated as a whole, the clean slate bills were signed into law. So again, we do this work in partnership with a lot of other municipalities and counties and our state partners. We don't do it alone. And I really appreciate a lot of their work in partnering with us to move forward some of our priorities as well. So with that, I hope you all have a great night and we will adjourn this meeting.